All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on what I think is a fundamental secret about social science. What if it isn't just a lens for looking at our world, but a tool that's actively building it? Let's dive in. You ever hear some finding from social science and just think to yourself, well, duh, that's just common sense? It's a super common critique, right? But that's the very puzzle we're going to unpack today. What if that feeling of the obvious, is actually hiding the immense and kind of secret power of these fields? So, to really get where we are now, we have to look back. For decades, the social sciences were completely dominated by what the sociologist Anthony Giddens called the Orthodox consensus. And the core belief was actually pretty simple. Society is a machine. It's something you can study with the same kind of cold detachment as a biologist looking at a cell or a physicist looking at an atom. Now, this old model, it really stood on three main pillars. First up was naturalism. This was the idea that to be a real science, social science had to find universal, unchanging laws, just like physics does. The second pillar was social causation, the belief that our actions aren't really our own choice, but are actually determined by these hidden social forces that we aren't even aware of. And third, you had functionalism. This is the view that every part of society exists because it serves a specific function to keep the whole system running smoothly, kind of like an organ in a body. But, a model like that just couldn't last. By the middle of the 20th century, it basically collapsed. The map it was giving everyone just didn't match the messy, complicated reality of human society. And this didn't lead to some new, clear path forward. Oh no. It led to what Giddens called a ferment of ideas, a super chaotic period where dozens of competing theories just sprang up all over the place. And out of this confusion, two, let's call them dead-end reactions emerged. On one side, you had some theorists who just embraced the chaos. They argued for a whole multitude of perspectives. The problem with that? It left no way to decide which theories were actually useful or better than others. Then, on the other side, you had a bunch of researchers who just decided theory was totally irrelevant. They just focused on collecting data, which led to what the great C. Wright Mills called mindless empiricism, basically a giant pile of facts with no framework to understand what any of it. So neither of those reactions was gonna cut it. A new synthesis was desperately needed, and it started by identifying exactly what was wrong with that old model. And it wasn't just a little bit off. Its very foundation had these deep, critical flaws. Giddens points to three, let's call them fatal flaws. First, it was chasing a ghost. Social scientists were trying to copy a version of natural science, this simple search for absolute laws that even natural scientists didn't really believe in anymore. Second, and this is a big one, it treated people like puppets. It just assumed we were driven by these external forces, completely ignoring our own intentions and knowledge. And third, it totally misunderstood what a social law even is. I mean, think about it. A red light doesn't stop a car with a physical ray. It works because drivers know and follow a rule. And this brings us to the absolute crucial missing piece. The old model forgot about us. It completely forgot that people are what Giddens calls knowledgeable human agents. We don't just react to stuff. We are constantly making sense of our world. And that knowledge we have isn't some afterthought. It's the very engine that makes society work. Okay. And this realization leads us straight to the big idea of this entire explainer. This is the key that unlocks the true power and purpose of social science. It's a concept called the double hermeneutic. Now, I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually a beautifully simple idea about a secret engine that's driving our social world. Hermeneutics, it's just a fancy word for interpretation. So the double hermeneutic means there are two layers of interpretation happening at the same time. You've got social scientists trying to interpret a world that is already full of people who are interpreting themselves and their own world. You see, it's a two-way street. The concepts created by social science don't just stay in academic books. They leak out into the real world, and they change the very society they were created to describe. To really get this, let's look at natural science first, which is totally a one-way street. A physicist, she develops a theory about gravity. That theory interprets the natural world, but the planet Jupiter doesn't read her textbook and decide to change its orbit, right? The subject of study is completely separate from the theories about it. But social science is completely different. It's a two-way street. It's a feedback loop. A social scientist develops a concept like risk management or national sovereignty. These concepts are then learned and used by people, by governments, by corporations. They become part of our reality. The concepts actually enter society and change how it operates from the inside out. And look, this isn't just some philosophical curiosity. This two-way street has profound, concrete effects on all of our lives. Abstract theories, born in academia, become the literal bricks and mortar of our social reality. So let's take Giddens's fantastic example, the concept of sovereignty. Back in the 16th century, political thinkers like Machiavelli came up with it to describe the new power of kings. They weren't just describing something that was already there. They were creating a language that helped create the modern state. And today, every single time you show a passport at a border, you are participating in a social reality that was built on that very concept. You are literally performing sovereignty. And it's not just politics. Think about economics. Early economists weren't just describing an industrial society that popped up on its own. Their very language, these concepts like investment, risk, cost, even the very idea of the economy as a separate thing, it was all absorbed by business people and policymakers. This new way of talking helped create the industrial society we now live in. These ideas became real. This quote from Giddens just perfectly nails the entire argument. He says, "The concepts of social science have come to constitute what that social world is. They have become absorbed into it and in turn have transformed it." It's so powerful. So let's go all the way back to our starting question. Is social science just boring? Does it just state the obvious? Now we can see the paradox. It only seems obvious because its most brilliant and world-changing discoveries aren't sitting on a shelf as academic theories anymore. They've become our reality. They are the water we swim in. The greatest strength of social science is that its findings become our common sense. And that leaves us with a final, and I think crucial question to think about. If this whole process is still going on, what social science concepts from today, ideas about identity or networks or wellness or inequality, what ideas are slowly being absorbed into our world right now, shaping the common sense of the future without us even realizing